There's this weird thing where people think that synthesis is something that happens when you finally start writing. They imagine paragraphs doing the work. They imagine prose discovering coherence. They imagine the argument revealing itself mid-sentence. And those beliefs are responsible for an enormous amount of writing misery, because writing does not create synthesis. It exposes whether synthesis already exists. I'm Nick, this is Dr. Cranky Pants Teaches, and if you are hoping that writing will save you, it won't. And part of that is because by the time people say they're ready to synthesize, they are usually exhausted. They have read a lot. They have notes everywhere, including that collection of Post-it notes in the bathroom, and they know that the literature is complicated. What they do not have is an argument that has been organized in advance. So the writing becomes a fight, not with sentences, but with ideas. And that is actually where synthesis lives. Not in paragraphs, but in structure. Synthesis is the act of organizing claims, reasons, and tensions before you ever worry about how they sound. It is argument work. And if that work is missing, writing becomes the place where you discover contradictions you should have noticed much earlier. So let's be very clear about what synthesis is not. It is not about summarizing multiple studies in the same paragraph. It is not about listing themes. It is not about blending citations until they blur together. Those are surface moves. Synthesis is about how ideas relate to one another inside an argument, which means the unit of synthesis is not the article. It's the claim. Up to this point, you've been doing three kinds of work. You've been naming provisional claims. You've been testing those claims through reading, and you've been judging evidence based upon what it does for the argument. Now, synthesis becomes possible because that structure, it already exists. And here's the pre-writing move that's going to matter. You sort sources based upon what they do for your claims. Not alphabetically, not chronologically, not by method, but by function. We're not organizing our library in rainbow order. Some sources are going to explain mechanisms. Some specify conditions. Some reveal constraints. Some strengthen a claim. Some will force you to revise or split it. And that kind of sorting is synthesis. There's no prose required. If you group sources by claim, you can see where the reasoning is thick and where it is thin. If you tag sources by what they do, you can see where warrants are strong and where they are fragile. If you note tensions and contradictions early, you give yourself time to think instead of forcing writing to carry that load. And this is the step most people skip. They wait until they're drafting paragraphs to notice that two studies disagree. That is not synthesis. If anything, that is crisis management. Arguments want conflict. They become clearer when tensions are visible. What matters is that you notice those tensions while you still have room to decide what matters. This is also where EDD and PhD work continue to share a spine. If your argument is accountable to a problem of practice, you are looking for patterns that explain why improvement efforts behave differently across contexts. Contradictions often point to conditions that matter. On the other hand, if your argument is accountable to a field, you are looking for conceptual tensions, theoretical gaps, and places where existing explanations strain. Contradictions often signal opportunity. Both approaches have different implications, but same synthesis work. So before you write anything, do this instead. Lay out your claims, place sources under them based upon what they do, and notice where claims are crowded and where they are lonely. Notice where mechanisms are clear and where they are assumed. Notice where constraints appear repeatedly. Now, this is synthesis. Not elegant sentences, not polished prose, but intellectual organization. And the writing will come later. And when it does, it should feel like translation, not discovery. If you skip this step, writing will force decisions you should have made calmly while thinking. and it will not be kind about it. It will not. Synthesis done early makes writing humane. Synthesis postponed makes writing punitive. And if this made synthesis feel less like suffering and more like structured thinking you already know how to do, that matters. I appreciate you. I'll see you in the next one.